Hi and welcome to this week's Bitrix24 Live. My name is Andy and I am the support manager here at Gold Partners Interface. So we're here every week at 10 a.m. Eastern on a Thursday to essentially answer any questions that you may have with regards to Bitrix. So if you're using the on-premise version of Bitrix or the free cloud version, it doesn't matter. As long as you've got some questions, as we go along, I can answer those and show you the answers live on the screen. So as I mentioned, we're here every week at 10 a.m. Eastern on a Thursday. Please do put your questions in the box on YouTube and I'll answer them as we go along. If you do have any questions that come through to you during the week, please do send them either to sales@intraface.com or live@intraface.com, and we can usually start each session off with those questions. So so as we go along, you can start asking them. So just a little bit about Intraface. We're gold partners of Bitrix. We're located in the US, in the UK, and in Dubai. So our contact details are on the screen there. And we essentially can offer any guidance. If you're interested in getting involved in Bitrix, we can offer any guidance about the product. We can offer one-to-one demonstrations online. So if you want a personalized demonstration of Bitrix for your company, we can arrange that with one of our sales engineers. And we also offer premium support. So we offer ticketing and telephone support for our support customers. And we also offer, if you're interested in the self-hosted, we also offer hosting services. So we can host that for you. And we've got a couple of questions later on just about the hosting of the on-premise version. So maybe those will answer those questions as well. So please do get in touch. The numbers are on the screen with your local office, and we can discuss your requirements with you and hopefully get you started using Bitrix. So some questions have come through previously through the week, so we'll start on those questions. And one of the first questions was with regards to having an approval process on a document upload to a specific drive. Now, Bitrix does actually come with pre-built document processes. So one of the questions was, how can you install those? So I think what we should do is let's actually create a new work group. So we'll create a new work group, and we're going to use the drive on this particular work group to firstly initialize or enable the business processes on the document drive, and then we'll install the existing examples that Bitrix has for the document approval. So I'll create a work group to start off with. We've got to make sure that the document drive is enabled. I'm on a cloud version of Bitrix here to start off with. So click on Drive. And then what we'll do is click on the little gear icon at the top. And you'll notice we have a Configure Business Processes option here. So we click on Configure Business Processes. And the first thing we need to do is make sure we activate them for this specific drive here. So if I click on the checkbox and click on Activate and then click on Save, what that will do is that will ensure that business processes are activated for this document drive. And when I go back to click on the little gear icon, then you'll now see that the business processes option is now showing. So if I click on business processes here, currently there are no standard business process templates. Where one of our clients was struggling with is they wanted to have the approval without having to create it from scratch. So if we click on Create Standard Business Processes, then you'll see that it automatically installs the business processes on here. So these are the standard processes that come with Bitrix. There are 6 in total, and these are the standard processes only for the document drives. So in other areas of Bitrix, you can install the general business processes as well. There are templates in the majority of the sections in Bitrix. But in this case, it was to do with the approval. Now, the second part of the question, so the first part was how can we get the pre-installed? That's as simple as doing and following that. The second part was how can you get a manager to approve a document, essentially that you're going to either upload to this specific drive or you are going to manually run the approval process. So if we click on first approval, I'll just show you how we can grab our supervisor as a potential approver. And this is not just for documents. You might want to use an approval process in the CRM and essentially use the supervisor in a particular approval block. So if I just close down some of these, and in the other section here on the right hand side, we have a select employee. Now if I drag this up here into the business process, we can also click on there, click on other, and click select employee, whatever your preferred method is. But if you click on the select employee, click on the little gear icon, and then you can give it a title if you want. So we'll just call this supervisor. And then in type, we want to change this from any, and we want to change it to supervisor. So what that will do is essentially, for this field here, it's going to select the supervisor of this particular individual. Now what we're doing is, because this is a document process, and we're going to run this when an individual uploads a file to that specific drive, then what we can do is click on Created By. Created By is going to be the user who uploads the document. So if I click on Insert into here, and then that essentially is going to find the supervisor for the person who created that document. Now what Bitrix also needs to provide is, if the user doesn't have a supervisor, what happens then? We can either escalate it to the person who is in the department above, and I'll jump into the company structure in a moment and just show you how this actually works. But if the user doesn't have a supervisor, we can go one higher and choose the supervisor in a level above, or alternatively, if there isn't another supervisor above, then we can provide a backup user. So we can essentially hard code a particular user in who's going to approve this particular document. You can see we can escalate it higher level if your supervisor is absent. So again, using one of the tools in Bitrix, it has a absence chart. Then if that person is away based on that absence chart, then again we can escalate it higher as well. So that's how easy it is. Once we've got the supervisor in here, so we click on Save, we actually now want to use that supervisor who this block is selecting in the actual approval process itself. So if I click on the little gear icon here, you can see if I just take that out of what it currently exists at the moment and click on the 3 dots, if we now click on additional results, we can see the block that is before the approval block here. So I named it supervisor. And what we want to do is select the selected employee. That is going to essentially be whoever submits the document is going to be their supervisor. If they don't have one, it's going to be the backup user. And that's how simple it is, really. That's how you would get this document approved by your supervisor. So I mentioned that the client that asked this question is essentially wanted to either upload it and it automatically trigger this process off. So to do that, just click into template parameters here and auto run when added. So as soon as that document is uploaded, this process will be triggered. The other option that they wanted was to have it just manually run. So in that case, we would essentially leave these two checkboxes unticked and it will require a manual setting on here. So if we click on save, what I mean by manually, so if I go back to the drive itself and let's actually just add a file in here. I don't know if we've got any files on here that are quite small. So if we upload this here and click on close, then what I mean by manually running is if I was to click on the 3 lines next to the document, you can see here business processes. I can actually now send that for approval by hovering over business processes and clicking on first approval. So that will then run the process that I've just been in a moment ago. So it is quite useful if you do want to manually push something for approval in the documents. The main part that people tend to miss is just making sure that in configure business processes, that checkbox is ticked. So this menu item here in the top right hand corner, business processes, shows. And when I'm referring to the supervisor, just to make sure that you get this set up correctly, if you go to employees in the left hand menu, we have a company structure. So in this company structure, you can set up your departments pretty easily by clicking on add department in the top right hand corner, and you can specify a sub-department. So this, for example, the sales department here has multiple sub-departments. But going back to the supervisor, you can see here that we have Max Smith is currently an employee and Katie Harrison is Max's supervisor. So that's how that. So if Max Smith was to submit that document, it would go to Katie Harrison for approval. Now, if I move Max Smith into the sales department here, you can see in this case, Max Smith wouldn't have a supervisor. However, in our theory of selecting the supervisor, it would then go to Katie Harrison, who is the supervisor of the level above. That's how it tends to work. So if you want to make somebody a supervisor of a department, it's pretty straightforward. You can just drag and drop into the top section, and you can see here has been appointed as the head of sales department, and then that would make Max Smith the head of that particular sales department. So it's really important, and we carry out training with a lot of our clients, and it's really important that if you are new to Bitrix, ideally get your company structure set up first. That should be one of the first things that you do when you are configuring Bitrix to start using it, because not only does it play a big involvement in things like business processes, but it also plays a big involvement in things such as communication. So you can send messages directly to the accounts department or the web department via a number of different channels, such as the activity stream. But it also sets up your CRM permissions. So if you wanted your sales department, for example, here we have UK sales, US sales, you can restrict the CRM to those departments only. So US sales only sees everything that is associated to the US sales, and the UK sales sees only something associated to the UK sales. So Leeds is a good example of that. So hopefully that answers the questions with regards to document approval and getting a supervisor involved in the approval process. Got first question, can you actually use this platform as a call center? Yeah, so you certainly can. So essentially, Bitrix comes with a telephony module. So if you go into, I'm in the cloud, but this is capable easily on the on-premise as well. But if you click into the telephony module here on the left-hand side, I would recommend probably having either a training session on the telephony module itself, but the first thing that you need to do is set up the telephony inside Bitrix. So whether you want to rent a number, you've got a PBX, or if you want to use a third party like Ring Central application, then you can do so here. And then once you've got this set up, we can create calling lists. So for example, we can have different numbers who answer different calls. Every call is recorded inside Bitrix. So if we clicked into the call details at the top up here, you can see every call that's been received, every call that's been sent. And it integrates perfectly well with the CRM in Bitrix. So if you've got a number of leads that you want to be calling, you can essentially start creating dialing lists. So you can create a filtered list here, and it's exactly the same in the companies and the contacts. But we can start creating a dialing list here, click start dialing, and it's going to go from one to the next. We can make notes on each one. And that's the same when calls come in. We can generate leads from those calls, and then we can go through a leads process and convert them into the contacts in the CRM. So it does work perfectly well as a call center. You will just need, I would definitely recommend maybe getting in touch with us, or first of all, maybe your first port of call would be going to the Bitrix24 website and looking at what the telephony is capable of. But it has a large amount of tools, especially to use with the telephony that's inbuilt, and especially the integration with the CRM as well. Can you show where files of landing pages that are created from the sites module are stored on the on-premise? So I mean, on the on-premise version, a lot of the files that are included in here, I don't know the actual location of the landing pages itself, but I mean, if we go into the control panel and then into the, I'm just jumped into our next tab here on the right hand side. We're now in the on-premise version of Bitrix, so for those of you that are new to the on-premise, it has this extra section here called the control panel, and what the on-premise allows you essentially to do is see all the source code that the on-premise version is built up from, and it also gives you access to a lot of different settings. So the question was, where do the files go if you were to upload them to the landing page module? I don't 100% know where they drop into, but I do know that if we go into the files and folders section, and I think if we go into the next one, into the upload folder here, then what happens, maybe landing, here we go, landing. So you click onto landing here, this is the directory where the files will generally reside in. So each one of the different modules, so if we were to want to know where all the files are from the CRM, then you would go into the CRM, live chat, landing. So landing is the module name for the sites module. So if I was to go into 001, then we would be able to see the file uploaded here. So this looks like the place where it's going to be for your files that you've uploaded to the sites module. So hope that helps. If I have a script that takes info from an email and parses and then uploads it into another CRM, can I convert it to work in Bitrix as an app? If so, what language do apps have to be? I wouldn't know. In all honesty, I'm not too technical in terms of that level of information. I think what you should do is probably drop us an email. We obviously have in-house developers here at Interface that will be able to assist you in terms of what coding language it needs to be developed in and where that coding essentially sits on the server. It's probably not going to be me who would be able to answer that for you. But I think if I'll just put our contact details, I think Kevin, you've been on it quite a few times before, So I think you may have our contact details already, but please do drop us maybe a document that has exactly what you're trying to achieve, and we'll try and assist you in the best way. Really, we can give you guidance on if you want. Obviously, you want to do it yourself, but we can give you guidance and point you in the right direction of documentation. So yeah, please do get in touch. So I think that's a good point just to point out for those of you that missed the start of the session. Those are our contact details. We are Interface. We are a gold partner of Bitrix. So we work closely with Bitrix and generally assist anybody that has any interest in purchasing Bitrix. So if you've got any pre-sales questions, we can answer those for you. We also offer training. We offer support services. So get in touch with us using the details on the screen, and we can hopefully help you along with Bitrix. These sessions are every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So if you do have any questions during the week, drop them in an email to sales@intraface.com, and we can start the session off with those questions. And as we get more and more questions as the session goes along, we'll answer those as well. So another question is how we can configure Bitrix telephony. So that's quite an open-ended question, really. In terms of configuring it, there are a number of different options of how you can configure telephony. I did briefly touch upon them with the question with regards to the call center. You have everything from the ability to rent a number, which is probably going to be the simplest way to start off. You essentially just select the country that you want the number in, and then you can determine the type of number. So if you wanted a toll-free, and then that would give us the value, so the monthly payment that you would need to pay to Bitrix for that number, and then you just click on rent. There are areas, so if we wanted, I believe Germany is one of them, there are areas that you do need to prove that your business is based in the country that you want a number from. So you can see here we have an upload verification document. You would need to prove in some locations to actually get that number. But that is probably the easiest way to start off. You can connect your own numbers to Bitrix. So if you've got your own number and want to connect it, you can do so. Again, you just have to prove that you have ownership of that number. And then you have PBXs. So you click on Office PBX, you can buy a SIP connector. And then there are a number of cloud PBXs available. And we've connected something like RingCentral before. We're currently working with Twilio, but there are something like 3CX. There are quite a large range of applications that you can connect. So I suppose it all depends on what it is that you currently have, and if you're starting from scratch, then it's just going to be a simple case of, like I say, renting a number and going from there. Once you've configured it, there's a whole range of different settings, everything from working hours through to setting up who can use the telephony within Bitrix and who actually responds to the different calls coming in. So you can set different queue groups, we can set a default group, select them to be evenly distributed, and you can have things such as I think it's IVR, the voice menu, where you press 1 for support, 2 for sales. You can select those as well. So there are a number of configurations you can do inside the telephony. There are quite a number of different tutorials and information on the Bitrix24 website. If you just go to the Bitrix24 website and click on support at the top, then you can click on the telephony and there'll be I think there's a number of different videos on there. But if you do get stuck and need a little bit of assistance, get in touch with us using the details that were on the screen a moment ago, and we can So to say, you guys have a Twilio integration for phone calls. So we're actually working with a client at the moment for Twilio integration with phone calls. There's nothing as such as standard at the moment, I don't believe. But yeah, we are working with a client of ours with Twilio phone integration. Yeah. So yeah, the texting one does exist on the application store, which is really good because that's probably the only one I think that accepts text messages going back in to Bitrix now. So yeah, there isn't currently an application for phone calls, but we're working with a client at the moment to get that all done. But yeah, probably if you are using the texting one, the Twilio one is definitely the best. I think there is documentation again on the Bitrix24 website to show you how to set the Twilio integration up. I do believe it's in the CRM and then into settings. And then I think if we click on applications, yeah, I think there we are, SMS. I think we may need to install Twilio application on here for it to appear. But there are step-by-step instructions if you wanted to do that. Okay, so please do keep your questions coming. There was a question I got actually today, last night, with regards to connecting your Gmail up into the on-premise version of Bitrix. So if you've got the cloud, then you just click on webmail and then you just connect up your email account on here. You've connected an Outlook one on here. You can connect Gmail up. You may encounter some issues if you have just installed the on-premise version and you've tried to connect your Gmail account up. So if we click on here, click on Connect New, you can see Gmail is here. If you are experiencing any issues with connecting Gmail, you may just need to actually authenticate your system with Google by creating an app and granting it access, and you need to provide the redirect URL. So to do that, you just go into the control panel, and if we just type in, I think we type in integration. Let's have a look. Maybe it's not appearing there. So if you just go into settings and then module settings, scroll down and type in social website integration, then this is the area where you would need to authenticate Google. So you can connect things like the Google Calendar and your Gmail account. And if you scroll down, there are a couple of different settings on here. Create an app and then provide the redirect URL. And then, like you can see here, enables calendar synchronization and working with Google Drive, Google Docs to edit the documents in there. So you would need to do that if you're on the on-premise version, and yeah, it also is required if you're connecting your Gmail account to the webmail function. Can you demonstrate Facebook ad and Google ad connection to Bitrix? I won't be able to demonstrate it because I don't actually have any demo Facebook or Google ad accounts. But essentially, with regards to, if we go back into here, and if we go into the contact center, so go into the contact center here. This is essentially where we can connect the Facebook lead ads here. So you would need to, so the Facebook leads ads is, you just mentioned about the CRM form there underneath the question. And it is quite simple to, I have done this for clients before, and it's quite simple to set up. You obviously need to have a business page. So click into here, and then I'll do this in a moment. You do need to have a business page, and you do need to be the administrator of that business page. And then what we can do is click onto here, and you can see we have a whole range of different forms. So your CRM forms, you create them, and we've been through CRM forms quite a lot on these sessions, but you essentially create a CRM form that generates a lead, and you'll have all your lead fields within that CRM form. And when you've clicked on it, then we can click on the actual form itself. And this is the first thing that you need to do. So you need to connect your Facebook account. And like I say, I don't have any, maybe for next session, or if you wanted to discuss it maybe in a demonstration with ourselves, not on live, then yeah, please do get in touch if you do want that. But you connect your Facebook page and your Facebook account, and it obviously has to have a Facebook advertising account associated to it as well. But what this will do is the form that I selected, so it was Bitrix24 Live interest form, I believe. That once you've connected it, that form will appear in your Facebook Ad Center. So you'll be then able to use that that CRM form on a Facebook ad. So people, it's a very powerful tool, because you're obviously using a form on Facebook. The user will fill it out on Facebook, and once they press submit, it will then generate a lead inside Bitrix, and it will generate that lead and give it a source of where it's come from, so it will know that it's come from that particular Facebook ad. And then we are getting some sales intelligence inside Bitrix, and it will then be able to show you essentially where it's come from. So we can see how much in the return of investment of how much you've spent on that particular advertisement on Facebook, and how many leads it's actually created. And then furthermore, it will tell you how many have actually successfully converted. So once you've gone through the lead process inside Bitrix, so you've gone through this particular process here, we can actually see how many have been converted and how many have actually been lost based on that campaign that you've done. So, sorry I can't show you actually how it works on Facebook, but there are, again, on the Bitrix24 support help desk page, there are good tutorials on how to set it up and what it should look like on the Facebook side of things as well. So you can also do that on Google Ads. So you've got Google Ads as well. That's not essentially to do with the forms. We can set some automation for people to be able to see specific Google advertising. I think that's more to do in the CRM marketing side of Bitrix. So we can retarget in different ad networks. But that's not to do with the CRM forms. But yeah, hopefully that explains a little bit. Again, maybe just follow the step-by-step tutorials to be able to learn a little bit more about it. So I'll just put our contact details up again on the screen. If you do have any questions, keep them coming. We only have one or two more in terms of what's previously come in. So get them sent in on here. We did have a question about the call recording, but I think we've gone through telephony quite a bit in here. If you do want to access telephone recordings, then you would just simply come into here, click on call details. As long as you've got the permissions to do so, you will be able to access any recordings here. So it says record, and then there'll be a play button or a download button. Alternatively, with the telephony obviously connecting to the CRM, then we have, if it is from a specific user, and we go into, let's just go into Max Smith here. I'm not sure there will be any recordings in here, but if this number was to dial in to Bitrix, it would recognize that it would be Max Smith calling in, and then it would place the recording on the activity stream within this particular contact. So the whole purpose of that obviously is to build up a history of communication with the actual contact in the CRM. And whilst we're in here, that's exactly the same thing with the email integration as a common question that we always get, and actually discuss how the CRM and email integrate into Bitrix. So on every version of Bitrix, you have the webmail link in the left-hand side, and you would connect your email up. And every email that comes into Bitrix, it will essentially check to see who it's come from. So in this case, if Max at Gmail emailed the email address that's connected into Bitrix, it will take a copy of that email and put it into that contacts activity stream. And that's the same if you were then to email max at gmail.com back, or to create a complete new email, then it would take a copy of that email and put it into the activity stream. So that is essentially how it would work. Now, you don't have to email from Bitrix, you don't have to email using the email action on the right hand side here. You don't have to email from here. Or you don't have to actually email from the email client within Bitrix, so I don't have to press new message. You can continue to use whatever email client that you use, whether it's Outlook, whether it's Gmail, whether it's Hotmail, or whatever it is that you use. You can use your email externally from Bitrix. As long as you've got it connected up inside, it will still perform those rules to get those emails fed into the relevant contacts company's lead or deal. So it's quite a powerful tool inside Bitrix to be using. It's quite simple to set it up as well. Like I say, when you do so, if you've not already connected it, it will look like that here. And then you have the different mailboxes in here. So you had an issue running multiple nested business processes. It would run the first one, but after that one, it would run the entire main business process, would stop and not move to the next nested business process. So when you're running, I don't really know the process that you're involved in, but if I know what you're referring to with nested business processes, so you can have workflows inside workflows. So if we go to the automation, I'm in the CRM here, and then add a template just for an example. So I assume you're referring to you're having nested processes like this. So if we want to run, I'm not sure in here, maybe this is, so you can see you can run nested processes. I mean, that once it hits this particular run workflow action block, it will obviously feed in to the other one, and then once that one's finished, it will come back. I mean, as long as you've got wait for the other workflow to finish, it should feed back in. I mean, how we tend to use these is always have some element to pause the process, because it's usually waiting on something. Now, we would usually wait on something like a task being finished, or whether it's I don't know, an additional information requirement or an approval process. That's how we tend to pause ours, because essentially once this workflow has run, it will come back here and run everything else, unless there is some element of pausing. Now, I'm not talking about pausing execution, I'm more talking about having a task after here and saying pause the process while the task is running. So essentially what will happen there is the business process will stop at the task, and only when that task has been marked as complete would it then continue. Now, you can't stop a process running unless there is some form of action like that. Another example would be to be able to use, I'm not sure what else we've got in here, so tasks. So it's in tasks. So your tasks is going to always pause something. So whether it's a request for additional element, whether it's an approve element, or whether it's a read element, these things always stop the process until whatever it's asking for is going to be given. So whether it's an approval, whether it's on additional information, you create essentially a form for somebody to provide some information. If you don't have those, it is going to do what you're saying. After that one, it would run the entire business process, would stop and not move to the next. I'm not sure why it would stop. I don't think, unless when you're trying to request an additional in your additional workflow, if you have parameters in those workflows that you need to feed the information from on here. I'm not sure if we have any. Let's have a look. Yeah, so for example on here, on our template for new project, we have parameters in that other workflow. Now, if you don't, sometimes if these are required for you to be able to run that additional thing, it may be that that's causing the issue for your process to stop. I don't know, I mean, like I say, maybe if you want to export it, click on export here. So if you ever want to export a business process, that won't do it because we've got action blocks that I haven't filled in yet. But essentially, if you want to click on export, that will give you a business process file, and then we can take a look at it if you want. It's completely up to you. Without running some tests on it, it's quite hard. I know you said, is there a simple setting I missed? There are quite a few simple settings that you could have missed, but without knowing what action blocks you're taking, it's quite hard to diagnose. How to link a CRM form to a company website. So, I mean, it's quite straightforward to link the CRM forms to the company website. So, again, we mentioned CRM forms a little bit of time ago. So, click on CRM forms here. And you essentially can create, for those of you that are quite new to the CRM in Bitrix, you can create your own web forms very easily. So, we'll just run through a very quick example. So, we might have an inquiry form. So, we'll say inquiry form. So, this is the name of it in Bitrix, so you can easily distinguish it. And then this is what the customer sees. Please provide details. Give it a description, say fill in fields below. And then you have to determine what fields that you want in the form. And you don't have to create them yourself. The fields will already be created because you've either created custom fields in Leads or you want to use the standard fields. They'll be available if you just open up the right hand side. Click on name, last name, and let's just say email and phone number. So that's how quickly we have created the form inside Bitrix. We can style it up a little bit more. We can say, once this form is submitted, who's going to be the responsible person for the lead that it creates. We can remove any reference to Bitrix if we want, and we can style it up however we wish. So the question was, how can we link the CRM form to the company website? So once you've clicked on save, then what that will do is it'll give you an inquiry form here. So this is our form. We do need to click on enable, because you can see it's currently grayed out. Click on enable here, and then what we can do is get the embed code. And it's as simple as that, really. Click on the embed code. I'm not sure if that's something that you've missed, but you copy that and you essentially paste that onto wherever you want to put it onto your website. Now, if you are using something like WordPress, then it may not allow you to use it in whichever type of builder you've got in WordPress. If that's the case, just use either, obviously switch to the text view and try and paste it in there. If it allows you, that's great. If not, maybe just download a plugin for something like a snippet tool that allows you to paste in JavaScript or any script or HTML. allow you just use that and then use the shortcode for that. I have seen that being used before. So to embed it straight on the page, it will just display the form. You can also display it as a button. Click on the button, it pops up, and you can also display it on a page so it's time delayed. So a good one people tend to use is newsletter sign-ups or something like that, or special offers, sign up for a special offer. 5 seconds delay here, you can change that once you paste it onto your website. 5 seconds delay, it will then pop up on the page that you've embedded it on. So hopefully that's quite useful. If you do have your company website on a Bitrix24 site, so if we go into the sites module here, and let's just look at editing a page on one of our pre-existing sites. So we have a landing page here. If we just want to view the pages. So if you built your company website using the Bitrix24 site website landing page builder, click on edit, and you'll be able to see on the page that's about to load up one of the CRM forms that we have already embedded onto here. So you can see submit your recipe. This is a CRM form, exactly the same. If you wanted to add a CRM form, click on add block, scroll down to where it says CRM form. Choose the style of form that you want, so you can display a video next to it or have it on a background. Click on here, and then if you click, so you can see here we've got a form, a video. Click on edit. You will be able to click on the CRM form in the settings on the left hand side and then select the form that exists. So if I wanted Bitrix24 live booking, then it will show me the Bitrix24 live booking form on here. So it all depends if you're using the site builder to show your company website or not. But if not, use the embed code and you'll be able to embed it into your site. When I'm at work, I am able to access the main Bitrix24 website. When I click on login, it just goes to a blank page that signifies no access. So maybe if you are struggling to access the Bitrix24 site, I'm not sure why that would be, maybe some firewall restrictions or what I tend to do, if you are struggling to log into Bitrix, we have had a couple of occasions where people are struggling to log into their cloud site. Just try and go to Bitrix24 .net. So if I was to go to Bitrix24.net, click into here, then you'll be able to see here that I'm currently logged in as just a demo user, and we have some demo sites on here. But if you go to your network profile page, then you'll be able to see the sites that you are a member of. Then if we go into Cloud Demo, for example, where I've just been, it'll essentially take you to your cloud site. We've had occasions where clients have created a free account and then they've used their same details for a paid account and created a brand new one. This allows you to clearly see what sites you have got connected to your email address. So when you go to Bitrix24.net, then it will generally ask you to log in. It shouldn't give you a white blank page on that particular network page. It should give you access to all the sites that you're a member of. But obviously if there are restrictions in terms of what you're allowed access to on a particular network, then it's not something that we can do. If it's an ongoing issue that you can't access your site, then do get in touch with us, because we can usually give you IP addresses or an IP range that will you'll need to unrestrict in your firewall settings. But that Bitrix24.net is a good one if you do have multiple accounts that you are unaware of. You can always check what you have in there. So hopefully that'll be quite useful to you. So I'll put our contact details up. Don't have any more questions that have come through from the previous sessions or the previous week. We've got 5-10 minutes left, so do get them in if you do need any questions answered, and I can help you. If not, then we will end the session, but those are our contact details, and like I say, we are Interface. We're a Bitrix24 Gold partner, and we offer a whole range of services. So if you're new to Bitrix and just trialing it, then do get in touch with us with any questions that you may have. We offer one-to-one demos, so if you've got your team in your company want to start using Bitrix, but unsure how or if it's possible what Bitrix does is going to benefit you, then we can arrange those demonstrations to get those questions answered. We have a team here who can tailor those demonstrations to show you what you need to see, and then ongoing from that we offer training. So we offer again online training, or we can come to your offices and provide you multiple days training if you need it. And also we offer premium support services, so things like telephone support or ticketing support. We're here at the end of the phone to help you make sure that you are using Bitrix as it should, and if you ever have any problems. So I've not had any other questions come through on YouTube, and like I say, if you have questions for next session, I'll be here probably with Damien as well. There's usually two of us that do these sessions, but Damien's out of the office today. So next Thursday at 10 AM Eastern, we'll be here again. If you want to get notified of these sessions, just subscribe to the Bitrix24 YouTube channel and switch on the notifications. It'll send you an email straight away as soon as we go live. But thank you very much for your time and your questions. And Kevin, do send that business process over, and I can take a look to see why it would just run through the process, so I can help out on that. But yeah, please do get in touch, and thank you.